He was just a janitor, invisible to most people in the grand lobby of a billion-dollar company. But one rainy evening, when everyone else walked past an old deaf woman struggling for help, he stopped, and with a few gentle signs he changed not only her life but the future of the billionaire who owned the empire. Smell of fresh coffee floated through the marble lobby of Caldwell Enterprises, one of the biggest companies in the city. But while most employees walked quickly past, eyes glued to their phones or laptops, one man worked quietly in the background, unseen yet vital. His name was Miguel Alvarez, a middle-aged janitor with gentle eyes and worn hands. Life had never been easy for Miguel. He worked long nights cleaning floors, polishing glass, and making sure the building shone before the suits arrived each morning. Despite the struggles raising two kids alone after losing his wife, Miguel carried himself with a quiet dignity. He believed in something most people had forgotten: kindness didn't cost a thing, and yet it was priceless. One rainy evening, as he was mopping the entrance, Miguel noticed a woman sitting on a bench just outside the revolving doors. She was older, silver hair tucked neatly under a scarf, her clothes modest but clean. What caught Miguel's attention wasn't her appearance but her eyes. They were searching, almost desperate, as people brushed past her, ignoring her entirely. She tried speaking, but no one seemed to understand. When she stepped inside and attempted to ask for help, her words came out broken, muffled, almost inaudible. Then Miguel realized she was deaf. Most people looked away, uncomfortable, but Miguel didn't. He set down his mop, wiped his hands on his uniform, and walked up to her with a gentle smile. Slowly, carefully, he lifted his hands and signed. "Do you need help?" The woman's face lit up instantly. Her trembling hands responded in sign language, shaky but clear. "Yes, thank you." No one understood me. Her name was Eleanor, and she was trying to find someone in the building. Miguel listened patiently with his hands, translating her signs, nodding, smiling. He guided her to a chair, brought her a cup of tea from the staff room, and sat with her until she calmed. What Miguel didn't know was that Eleanor was not just any elderly woman. She was the mother of Richard Caldwell, the billionaire CEO of the company, a man known for his sharp business sense but criticized for being distant, cold, and too focused on profits. For personal reasons, Eleanor had chosen to live quietly away from her son's empire. But today she had come to see him after years of distance. And the only person who had treated her with respect, patience, and kindness was the janitor. Hours later, Richard Caldwell stormed into the lobby, his assistants trailing behind. His expensive suit, polished shoes, and commanding presence turned heads instantly. But when his eyes fell on Miguel, sitting beside his mother and signing gently with her, Richard froze. "Mother," he whispered. Eleanor's face softened. She reached for her son's hand, signing to him slowly, but Richard didn't understand. He never had the time to learn her language. His own mother's voice had been silent to him for years. And then Richard watched as a janitor, a man he'd probably walked past 100 times without noticing, translated her words with such care it broke something deep inside him. "She says," Miguel signed and spoke carefully, "that she came not as the mother of a billionaire but as a mother who missed her son." The bustling lobby grew silent. Assistants lowered their eyes, even the receptionist stopped typing. Richard's face softened, his eyes wet. He knelt beside his mother and whispered, "I'm sorry, I should have learned, I should have been there." Eleanor squeezed his hand, and Miguel gently stepped back, giving them space. That night changed everything. Richard Caldwell, the billionaire feared by competitors and adored by Wall Street, made a decision. The very next day, he ordered free sign language classes for all employees in his company. He donated millions to organizations supporting the deaf community. And privately, he began visiting his mother every week, learning to sign letter by letter, hand by hand. But when people asked Richard why the sudden change in heart, why the new compassion, he always gave the same answer. "Because a janitor reminded me what humanity looks like." And as for Miguel, he never asked for recognition. He returned to his quiet shifts, polishing floors and cleaning offices, humming softly as he worked. But one morning he found an envelope in his locker. Inside was a handwritten note. "Miguel, thank you for giving me back my mother. You saw her when I didn't. This world needs more men like you. Richard Caldwell." Attached was a scholarship fund in Miguel's name. ensuring both his children would have their college education fully paid for. Miguel wept quietly in that dim locker room, holding the letter against his chest. He never wanted riches, all he ever wanted was to live with kindness, but in giving freely he had received more than he could have imagined. Sometimes the most powerful people aren't the ones with wealth or titles, but the ones who choose kindness even when no one is watching. And sometimes a simple act, a janitor helping a lost woman with sign language, can change not just one life but many forever.